All right. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to join us on this live webinar. Today, I am joined by my colleague, Jason Yeri, who's a senior solutions consultant on our team. Good afternoon, Jason. He might be muted.
Thanks
there.
for having me. No,
yeah,
thanks
no
for
problem.
having me, Tim.
No problem. My name is Tim Loss. I'm the senior director of our technical sales team here at Symphony Summit. Before we jump into the demo, I just want to do a brief overview of the company as a whole, because a lot of folks don't know who we are. So jumping into this, Symphony AI is a very large company. We have over 3,000 employees in 33 countries. Our vision is to transform enterprise with AI. Our mission is to build leading enterprise AI and SaaS software as well. As you can see here, we are built of multiple departments. We've got our media division, financial crimes, risk and cyber, CPG, retail, industrial, etc., including Summit. Here you can see some of our customer base across all of our divisions. A lot of logos here y'all will recognize. And here we have some of Summit's direct customers here. So very proud of these logos. Jason and I have had the pleasure of bringing a lot of these on as we've been employees here at Summit. You can see some of our awards and recognitions on top, which we'll dive into further here. We've been the most preferred enterprise ITSM solution for Gartner Peer Insights for 5 years in a row. We are very, very proud of that. As you can see, we have the second highest ratings here, but also the number one rated, and the second most ratings here. So we're very proud of that. We are recognized as an honorable mention in the 2022 Gartner Magic Quadrant. We are top right corner for voice of the customer for the ITSM platform for, again, 5 years in a row. We are a leader in ISG's provider lens as well for enterprise service management for 2023. And now we'll dive into some of the architecture of the application itself. So starting in the top left here, you can see the different internal functions that we support. So it's not just IT for IT service management, but also human resources, facilities, finance, really any department within an organization can be using Summit. We offer multiple systems of engagement through web chat, email. We have integrations with Teams, Slack, Google Chat, WhatsApp, etc. We offer telephony, a web portal, and mobile applications as well. We offer multiple systems of intelligence with intent identification, intent classification, workload management, intelligent self-service, and automation. And some of our solutions include IT service management, enterprise service management, IT and enterprise asset management, service automation, and a generative AI copilot. We offer a multi-tenant architecture, meaning each department can have their own tenant in the system. We have an integration hub, a notification engine, SLA designer, service portal designer, etc. So it's a very, very robust application. Breaking down even further here, you can see starting in the left-hand corner under IT service management. It's a no-code, low-code platform. As I mentioned, we offer multi-tenancy, very robust reporting, and a business rule designer. For enterprise service management, we have HR use cases, facilities use cases, finance use cases, as I mentioned before. Enterprise asset management, we offer asset discovery, hardware and software asset management, asset lifecycle management, as well as compliance. Through service automation, we have an agentless architecture, hundreds of integrations. We automate and event-based task executions, and we have an automation scheduler. Next, our Gen AI Copilot. We're using advanced NLU, service desk intelligence, live agent transfer, and a conversational studio. All right, with that, Jason, I will kick it over to you.
Thank you, Tim. So we're going to be covering the Apex platform for you today. I'm going to start out with an end user experience, which you could expect from your end users. We'll move that into more of an analyst role or fulfiller role, completing the, maybe an incident. And then we'll move into what we'll call a platform admin. So the person that would be responsible for maybe designing the forms and the pages that you're seeing on the screen. We will have some time Q&A. You've got the chat window. Feel free to put questions in the chat. So we should have time to cover all of that. So with that, let me share my screen, and then I will drop my camera. So are you able to see my screen okay, Tim?
Yep, I can see it.
All right, perfect. All right, so I'm logged in currently as Ryan. So Ryan is going to be our end user. So Ryan has access into the portal here as an end user. We want to give Ryan kind of a Google-like experience. So Ryan needs to be able to maybe search for things that he's experiencing. So, and we want to give Ryan everything that he needs on one page. So the portal is designed in such a way that Ryan can come through and search for the thing that he's having an issue with. Maybe he's having a VPN issue. He can search for that. It's going to provide him, maybe incidents that he's already submitted related to VPN, maybe service requests that he has available to him. Maybe he needs access to the VPN and he just submit that as a service request. Or maybe he's got knowledge base articles that he could view, maybe to solve his issue. So if I search for VPN issue, maybe I see, oh, how to configure a VPN. Maybe that's what I need. So I can pull up that article. You can see this article is very, it's rich text. We've got, step-by-step instructions for Ryan to follow. Ryan has the ability to go ahead and provide feedback on this article. You can see that it's given 4 stars. Users can go through and rate these articles. Analysts then have the ability to do reporting on those to be able to determine which ones are being used and how useful are they. Ryan also has the ability to view a YouTube video. So we've embedded a link here on how to set up a VPN just through YouTube. So he could view that video there and hopefully solve his issue. Now, if it didn't solve his issue, he can always go back to that portal. He could search for other knowledge base articles or, maybe find that service request to request access. Ryan also can then just scroll down through. We've got lots of different options here for him. He can log an incident. He can log a request. He can browse that knowledge base. We've also provided him some additional details of like open incidents he has, maybe incidents by the different work groups, maybe the last 5 incidents. All of these are widgets that are designed as part of the portal. Now, the platform admin has control over all of that, so they can choose what's being displayed on this screen. So maybe you want to do something maybe simpler for the end user. We have another theme here we can have for Ryan that's been published to him. And this is going to be a different portal experience. So here he still has that search capability, but he's only got those 4 links and he doesn't have any of those other reporting numbers. Maybe it's a little too busy for them. You want to simplify it. This gives them the ability to do that. From here, we can log an incident. If we're logging an incident here, you'll see over on the right-hand side, we've got suggested solutions. There's nothing there right now. I still need to select my department first. So I know that I'm having an issue that requires IT. I select IT and you'll see that we get solutions popping up there on the right-hand side. Those are our top 5 solutions. IT chooses what they want to, their top 5, or can have it be dynamic to show those on that right-hand side based off of views, based off of ratings. So we can display those. And then as we come through, we're selecting our category here. So I'm having a VPN issue. And as I start typing, you can see where that suggested solution starts to change. So it's going to be based off of what we're typing in that symptom. We're going to start getting other solutions that are, maybe more relevant to what I'm having an issue with. Can still view that, can go in and view those steps. If I click on view steps, it's going to open in a separate window. It gives me the troubleshoot VPN, gives me my YouTube video, all of that. But it does open in a new window. So that means if that didn't solve my problem, I close that tab and I'm not losing the stuff that I've already typed in. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this. VPN issues with my laptop, unable to connect to VPN. We also have the ability to do, screenshots in there. So I can just paste a screenshot of the error that I'm getting. So quickly pop that in there. We can also maximize this. If you want a little bit more real estate, you could pop that out, be able to fill that in. You can see all the formatting options that we get here with the rich text. So once I've done that, I can also attach files if I have any files that need to be attached. But ultimately, I want to just go ahead and save that. Saving that's going to go ahead and submit that incident for me, and it'll take me to my incident page. So it's going to show me, hey, here's the incidents, your incident list. You've got your incidents showing here with your different statuses. I want to keep track of this one. Maybe I want to go into that incident. Can click on that. It's going to bring me into the incident page. Give me general information here. This is also configurable by the admin as far as what you want to display to your users. So we're providing symptom description. We're giving them some general information here. They can see if it's been assigned to anyone. They can see if there's any SLAs associated with this as well. So you can kind of see when should I expect a response, when should I expect a resolution based off of that criteria. We also have like impact, urgency, priority. Maybe you don't want to display that to the users. You don't really want them knowing what that priority that you're setting for it is. Those are all configurable. You can remove those items from the screen. But as a user, I might want to go ahead and update this incident. So up here in the top, I've got the ability to do quick actions. I can update the incident or I could cancel the incident. I also have the ability to view the history of this incident, so everything that's changed with this. If I'm updating, I can go ahead and put in communication. So I could say, hey, I'm still having this issue and no one has responded to me yet. Or maybe I have an attachment that's been requested. I can go ahead and come in here and attach something that maybe an analyst has asked me for. So I can go in, update it, save that, and then that all gets logged within the ticket for messages. And again, you can view like timeline, which will show you like the history of everything that's happened with this particular ticket as it's gone through. Now, in addition to incident management for Ryan also has the ability to use like service requests. So maybe we've got some services that we offer and we want Ryan to be able to log those requests in the system. So by clicking on log request, we're brought to our service catalog. And this is giving you, at the first glance, it's giving you the most popular services that IT offers. So maybe things that are more commonly used. But Ryan does have the ability to go through and look through different categories. So maybe it's a service that he needs. And we have this designed in such a way that it'll load as you scroll. So as I'm scrolling through, even though we have a lot of services, they're not all loading at once. So it helps with performance. So as you start scrolling through, you continue to get additional items appear on the screen. Now Ryan can select something like maybe he needs a device, maybe he needs an Apple MacBook. He can select that item. It's just going to give him information about that request. He can come through and select the items from the list, whatever processor and memory, and if he needs pre-installed software, storage, submit all of that and save that, and then it can go through an approval process with a workflow associated with it on the back end. So this is again a form that's designed. You can choose what's required. You can also have fields appear and disappear based off of selections. So all of that validation and display is possible from an admin standpoint. All right, I'm going to go ahead and log out as Ryan, and we're going to log in as another user. We're going to log in as Maxwell. So Maxwell is going to be our analyst. We'll refer to him as an analyst or fulfiller. So he's not an admin in the system, but he's working incidents, he's working service requests. Maybe he's responsible for change management, all those types of things as well. Now, Maxwell logging in, he has multiple applications he has available to him. Now, Ryan was an end user. He was only maybe seeing service management, but Maxwell has access to the asset management application as well as service management. This is where we can also have additional applications. Maybe you want a project management application, you want GRC, maybe you want an HR specific application. Those are all things that we can create and publish for our users. Now, Maxwell, we're going to go ahead and go into service management here. And then Maxwell gets presented with his dashboard. So much like that end user portal that Ryan was seeing, Maxwell has an analyst dashboard. So we still want to give Maxwell that Google-like experience. So we still want him to be able to search for incidents, knowledge-based articles, all of those things. So we still give him that search box. So if I say, VPN issue on there, it's then going to present me with everything that's available to me. Now, I have access to incidents, service requests, change requests, problem records, and knowledge articles versus the end user only having those incident service requests and articles. But obviously, Maxwell has more permissions in the system, so we provide him more things in our list here. So he can select from those items to go into them. He also on his dashboard has additional details, so he has his full workload. We want to give Maxwell a one-page view of everything that's going on in his world. So his workload, his incidents, his service requests, any work orders that he's been assigned. Maybe critical tasks are available. So we've got 19 VIP incidents. Maybe he wants to hop directly into those VIP incidents and start working on those. You can also see his team's workload with a lot of graphs on here. And again, everything you see on the screen is configured by the admin. So we can create these views and have multiple views for our users. If Maxwell wanted to view something else, he might have additional views over here on the right-hand side that he could access. Maybe an executive dashboard as an example. Maybe he needs to be able to access that. It gives him a lot of information here within the system with all of our different, incident, service requests, changes, SLAs, a lot of reporting capabilities, just viewing that dashboard. Now, Maxwell wants to go ahead and work on those incidents. So he's going to go into his incident list. Now, he's got his incidents, so things that he's submitted as my incidents, and he's got manage incidents, which are things that have come in that he needs to manage. So Maxwell goes in here. Now, you can see by default, he's seeing his team's incidents. This is a view. You have the ability to create multiple views. So you can see we've got a bunch of different views we could hop into. So if I just wanted to see VIP incidents as an example, I could select that view. It's going to go ahead and refresh, add those filters in for me, and I'm seeing all of our VIP tickets in the system. Switch back to my team's incidents, and we're seeing just the team's incidents in here. And then if we wanted to, again, we could create new views. We can do filters. We can do advanced filters, which allows you to set up filter like groups, where you could do an and or an or status with those particular fields. So you can create all these, save them, and then they exist as views in here for you. We're going to hop into this VPN issues with my laptop. That's the ticket that we just submitted as Ryan. We go ahead and select the incident ID here, and it's going to bring us into our detailed view. So a little bit similar to our users view, obviously a lot more information here with some different options for Maxwell as he's working this ticket. So you can see we've got different fields with asterisks for them being required. So maybe we need to fill these particular things out. Set our classification for this ticket, maybe set a specific category for this ticket as it comes through. We can set our analyst. So I'm Maxwell, so I'm going to go ahead and take ownership of this and assign it to myself. Define a service window that we've got set up. That's going to help with our SLAs, both response and resolution. We've got that impact urgency that I mentioned before. We can set up priority matrices. So you'll be able to set those up to where if impact equals this and urgency equals this, what's our priority? And then obviously assign SLAs based off of that as well. Up here in the upper right, Ryan also has the ability to do quick actions. So he's got the ability to send an email. So maybe he just wants to send an email to a specific set of users. Maybe he wants to use a notification template that's already been defined. So you can quickly do that and send notifications out directly from the ticket. Ryan also has the ability to view the change history of the ticket. That gives him full access to everything from change, communication, workflow, access history. All of that's available, showing everything that's changed on the ticket, when it changed, with date and timestamps, with old values and new values showing there. Can also view the user records history. So this is everything that Ryan has. So if I'm viewing that, it's going to show me all of his incidents, his service requests, assets that belong to Ryan. All of those will show as the user records history here for us as well. So that gives us quick access to those things of that user. So we're not hunting for all of that information in the system. And then there's additional actions that we have there on the right-hand side, like reminders, remote desktop capability, the ability to transfer incidents to another department, and AI suggestions. So AI suggestions here, this can pop up automatically on a ticket when you launch it, if you want it to do that, or we can have it just exist there in that top panel. But this essentially is using AI to analyze your data and provide suggestions for things like the work group, the impact, urgency category. So it's based on historical data, and it will learn from your users over time. So, if you have it this signed to application support, that you can apply that, or maybe you don't want to apply that, and what's the reason why you don't want to apply that to this ticket. That can help feed the algorithm and make it smarter the next time you use it. All right. All of those things, again, as you see on the screen, so your messages, your checklist here, your timeline, all of these things are customizable. So if it's too much on the screen, you want to get rid of some things, maybe you don't use vendor info, on a regular basis, maybe that's something that you don't want to see, we can delete that tab entirely, or you can modify the fields that you're seeing here. So, and I'll show you that when we get to the platform side. Of how easy it is to modify these things. In addition, you can modify these things along the top. You get 3 quick actions, and then everything else goes underneath here. But you can reorder these. So maybe, AI suggestions, you want that out here instead of change history. You can put change history underneath the ellipses there. You can modify that if you want. Now, Maxwell also has the ability to view those service requests that have come through, change requests, problem records, all of that, do reporting. So everything is available here for Maxwell to be able to do. So we'll go ahead and log out of Maxwell, and I'm going to log in as our admin role. So I'm going to log in as Frederick. So Frederick is going to be our platform admin. So his screens are going to be completely different than anyone else that we've seen, because he's basically building the forms, he's building the workflows and doing all that for the different applications. So first things first, Frederick is presented with his apps. So I'll just select service management here. And we're going to start out with a view of our platform. So just to give you an idea of how this platform is designed, we have a domain and subdomain structure. We can do global domains, global subdomains. Then we can set up departments or tenants or customers, whatever you want to call it. But essentially, those are your different support groups. So maybe it's IT, maybe it's HR if you're doing an internal use case. If you're doing an external use case, it could be customer A, customer B as departments or tenants within the system. So it's very flexible in that way. From there, we then build applications. So those are the service management, asset management, maybe it's project or GRC. Those would be different applications that you would build, and the applications would have modules. The modules for service management being things like incident, service request, problem, knowledge. Those are all modules within that application. And with this, you would then do mapping of which applications and modules are available to which departments and which domains and subdomains. We can also define authentication methods. So maybe it's form authentication, maybe it's a single sign-on with like a SAML provider, or maybe through Azure, your LDAP, things like that. We'll be able to do the access, and that's where you'd set up like your roles and your user records here as well. Now, once that's been established, the next piece to this is really the design studio. In the design studio, we really have two parts to design. We have application design. So right now I'm in service management. You can see here at the top, we've got asset discovery, automation. I'm in service management, so my application, I can then configure different parts of the application itself. This is where I can set up things like, my localization. If I wanted to do like, global localization for, maybe different languages, that would then say, the save field, what's the value in German? Same thing for French. So we can set those things up and set up some localization options. We can configure themes. So your theme is really the look and feel of the system. So we've got our blue theme that really controls what the buttons look like, the colors of the buttons, our different components, our top panel, like our branding, what's the background color, what's the logo we want to see. So we can set up multiple themes. Each user that logs in can have a different theme. So you could publish different themes. If you have different, maybe customers, you want their logo to be there. So we can configure different things like that when it comes to your themes. This is also where we set up like our holiday calendars, our mailbox for email to ticket. We set that up with notification parsers. Our service portal, that's going to be those different portals that we viewed. So the end user portal as an example. I'll go in here to our end user portal. And when I'm configuring this, I can design this portal however I want using the different methods we have here. So we have different layouts. So you've got your different 100%, basically splitters on the page. How do you want that laid out? And then what widgets do you want available? So we've got your general widgets with like taglines or search boxes. We've got action widgets. We've got graphical widgets with your bar graphs and all that. Everything you see, then it's just drag and drop. So I drag it over and then I can configure. So for example, the search box here, I can modify this. If I want to change the watermark, I just put that information in here and I click save. So there's no coding or anything required to change the stuff that you're seeing on the screen. It's all low code, no code. Search results as an example. In this search box, I only want to search incidents, requests, and articles. When I'm searching incidents, I only want to search these columns. And then how do I want it displayed on the screen? And how many results do I want displayed? So very easy to configure in here. If you wanted to add an additional tab, you just click to add that. And then you can select a name, a logo, and then choose your source. What are we actually searching through when we're doing that? Can also change the appearance of that search box, the text color, text size, all of that. All those design elements are available to you. Same thing with like your action widget. So log incident as an example, that's an action widget. It's called log incident. And then what's the data source? We're actually doing internal. We're opening the new incident form and we're opening it in the same window. If you wanted to open in a new tab, you just change that here. So we have a lot of those different options and, obviously fully customizable as far as what you see on the screen. Outside of that, we then get into our designer for each individual module. So we get into like maybe our incident module as an example. And within here, we then have all of our forms that are available and we can modify those as well. So if I go into this particular form and I want to go into my designer, this is a transaction form. When I'm designing it, you can see everything that was available on that screen. We had that header information. We've got our splitters, our user card, all those tabs. As I mentioned, if you don't use vendor info, you can just click the little delete. You can just delete that tab altogether. or you can modify the fields, themselves. All those are done. You've got your splitters with layouts, and you've got all your controls. We have, I think it's a little over 60 modern controls within the system. So everything from your short text, your multi-choice, tree views. We've got survey controls here. We have the ability to do different actions, some other form elements within here. We also have widgets. So widgets can be, maybe an effort tracker. Maybe you want to set up a timeline, approval timeline, so you can see that on the screen. Your SLAs, that's going to be these response SLA, resolution SLAs over here that we're displaying. And we have like things like meetings. So maybe you want to set up a Teams meeting link. So if you ever just need to set up a meeting, maybe that's with change management with a cab, you could have like a link that you could just quickly click and spin up a meeting. So all of those are optional as far as those form elements. And just like that portal, it's easy to just change the settings. So this is a, source drop down. If we want to do validations, that's where we can say this is mandatory every time, or we could do things like this is, hidden at a certain point, or editable at a certain point when like certain conditions are met. So we have that capability with those validations. And we can set the data source. So this is a manual data source, but we could use other controls here as well, like using a dynamic table, as a source or another field within the tool. Outside of that, other design elements here, let me get back to that design studio. We do have the ability to do workflow designer. That's primarily comes into play when we're looking at things like change management. So we might have workflows for, standard changes versus emergency changes. So our emergency change workflow might look like this, where we've got, certain condition and we've got a notification and approvals. All of these are just drag and drop. So if we want an additional approval, we just drag it over, and then we've got the ability to connect it in wherever we need to connect it. So approvals, conditions, notifications, the ability to create a record, so maybe create a work order at a certain point, and then just your utilities, maybe you want to set a value at a certain point. This is different than maybe your workflow for like standard changes, which might have, a lot more to it than maybe your emergency change would. But that's available not only in change, but you can see it's available, workflows available in all modules within the system, including when you're looking at like asset management, you can have workflows associated there. We also have business rules, which are very similar to your workflows. It just, they don't have things like approvals here. You've got your actions, you've got your trigger and condition, and your actions are like, creating a record or updating fields on the record, maybe notifying people. This is where we could maybe call an API at a certain point, or just display a message on the screen when it meets the conditions. And then we have scheduler, which is just like business rules, only it's more time-based automation. So when a certain amount of time elapses, maybe we do some sort of notification or an action. But we have all of that capability here within the system as well. And I know I'm a little past the 30-minute mark that we had slated for this, so I'm going to pause here. Tim, I'll lean on you. Were there any questions that came through on the chat that we could answer here for anyone?
None came through, Jason, but we can certainly answer any now if anyone has any questions. Obviously, there was a lot that we showed you guys here today, and we definitely appreciate your time going over our Aplex platform. All right, well, if there are no questions, we can go ahead and wrap up. Jason, as you mentioned, we're running a little bit behind here, so we appreciate everyone's patience and their attention to this. This is going to be a What is the implementation time? Okay, so our typical implementation time is around 90 days. That's what our average customer is. That can depend obviously on the customer's needs as well. So if you want to have every module go live at the exact same time, that could potentially extend the timeline there. If you guys have a certain date in mind, we work backwards from that date as well. But our average implementation time is 90 days.
And it looks like Dennis also made a comment question about moving data between systems. So, Dennis, I'm assuming you're meaning kind of maybe between like another service desk system that you have into this. So we do have migrating. So we have importing and exporting capabilities. We have an open REST and SOAP API. Ravi Data just responded in the Q&A too about our integration hub. So we can accomplish moving data between systems in that regard. So
yeah, I'd say that's a normal practice that a lot of our customers do, migrating from one system to another, whether they want to just keep their open tickets or they want to migrate categories, subcategories, things like that. That's something that we do all the time.
Yeah, and then Dennis just made a comment about pulling data from Google, Azure, human resources, et cetera. Yep. So that is very common. So basically, what we like to say is if you can get the data out, we can get the data in. So if you can get it out of the other system, whether it's an API, whether it's pulling the data out into like CSV or what have you, we can usually get the data in. We just need to know where it's going when we pull it in. So.
Yeah. Also, that might play into integrations as well. So we have hundreds that are out of the box. We also build integrations as well with customer applications too. So that could be like human resources could be something like onboarding or offboarding, where you want that onboarding request to start in Summit. That could then trigger something in that HR tool or vice versa. Adding or removing end users from different applications, things like that as well. Let's see. So what is the upgrade plan? So we're working on an upgrade process right now, actually a migration kit. We had our product team in town locally here in North America last week, and I believe that's going to be ready mid 2024. So that's as far as the timeline goes. So the answer is yes, we can migrate customers, and then we'll have that ready in mid 2024.
Another question about providing parents tech support for a school district. Yes, that is something that we can accomplish with this tool. We'll have to have like those users. We'll have to either allow them to create a login, or we could create logins ahead of time if kind of maybe a student ID and create a password for them. But yeah, we could set up and create an application specifically for parent, tech support with its own set of like workflow capabilities, notifications, et cetera.
Yeah, I think that'd be a really good use case for our multi-tenant architecture too, where you could have, if there's a large school district, you could have a district centralized IT department or support group, and then each school could have their own tenant in the system. So each, elementary school, middle school, high school, whatnot, they could have their own application or their own tenant within the system, and then they could provide kind of more localized support that way. I see Ravi Dada's answering the questions too as we go.
Yep.
I see someone's typing too,
yeah,
so we'll
someone's
give them a minute.
Typing. Yep. Yeah, so out of the box integration marketplace. So we do have out of the box integrations, most of which are done through the integration hub, through like service automation, and then we do have other things that we've done for other customers that we could leverage. We'll have to get back to you on like a specific. We don't really have like a marketplace where you just go and just connect to that. We have documentation on what we've done and what's available, so we'd have to get more specific with you. So if you have any specific questions regarding that, what integrations you're looking for, I would like to have a conversation. That's something else. If there's any one on the call, if you want to get into more detail and would love to dig into this more, we're happy to schedule some time with you individually to walk through any of your specific use cases and go into a deeper demo with you. So just reach out and we'd be happy to do that.
Yep. All right, I'll take one more pause here for any final questions. All right, I don't see anyone else typing, so I think we're good. Well, thanks again, everyone. Thank you, Jason, for walking us through the new tech platform, Apex here. We're obviously very, very excited about this. This will be a regular webinar. So we'll have another one coming out in January. Once we have the exact date nailed down, we'll certainly circulate that around and let everyone know. So thank you all very, very much. We really appreciate it and hope you have a great end to your week.
Thank you all.